that fear in the body, say we have something happen when we're young. There's a real experience, there's a real memory. We have so we experience it physically, it might have been painful. It might have induced a fear reaction. Okay, say it was an abuse. At the time. Now we have a memory. Maybe we didn't feel like we could express that. So we repressed the fear or the response or the anger at the abuse. We repressed it, didn't feel safe to fight back for whatever reason. So now we have it, emotional memory. That's percolating, simmering under the surface for maybe years. Then we have a story. We have a story about what happened, and it's a replay. And maybe our subconscious flashes back to that. And the story produces then an emotional response. And maybe that emotional response, yes. And that can then our physical body, like any dream, we can respond physically and feel that tension in our body also. So we're talking about layers in the mind, in the emotional body, and the physical body. Okay? And then you have another layer of the mind that is maybe a story of repression. I shouldn't feel that. I should be over that. Or that's too painful. Don't recall that. Denial. Let's go think about something else. Let's do something to distract ourselves from our emotions. Pattern. Okay, so now our attention is off on something else, so we're not aware of what we're physically and emotionally feeling, or even of a story, a memory we have about it. Okay, so this is sometimes part of the denial system. And the denial system is actually, as much as it might get a bad rap, a really beautiful thing. Because if you felt all those emotional pains at one time, it'd probably be overwhelming. Okay? If you just said, okay, let's take away the denial system, you felt all the emotional pain, like, the overwhelming amount of emotional stuff. Okay? So what happens is, you become aware of this belief pattern, stories, and some of the emotion generated in the stories, and maybe some of the way your body responds to that. And so now you're moving under the layer of that denial system into what we've held in the subconscious, below our conscious awareness. And you clean up the stories. Okay, I don't have any more thoughts. Negative thoughts, fears, fear-generated thoughts. Characters generating those thoughts. But you still have an emotional memory. You still have an emotion that's repressed and no story. So now it's a deeper layer of work. You're cleaning out not just the stories of the mind, you're cleaning out the emotional body. And this is softer, gentler, and I talk about this in the emotional release audio. This is breath work. This is body work, where we hold it in the cells of our body. This is yoga. Okay? That sometimes getting at that emotional layer is really just being present with what you're feeling, physically and emotionally. That's what some of this work here, this sitting work, has been, right? Get in touch, and I've often invited you to be in touch with the memory, the story, and the emotion together. But sometimes you get to an experience where you had no story and it's just emotion. Those repressed emotions have to come out and be released. People will cry on the massage table and have no idea why. I've gone through my own process of anger and a sadness and a grief, and I have no idea why. And so there is a practice of being very relaxed and having no tension about feeling emotion. Okay. And I wanted to do that because I was like, I don't want to hold this in my body, whatever it is or whatever it's from. I don't care why. And my mind at those times early on would want to go, why do I feel this way? I'd be like, Who cares? The important part now is I'll release it, because then I won't never need to answer the question, because it'll be gone. I won't feel that way anymore, so I won't need to know why. Because what happens if I could answer the question, I go to memory? Well, I just still have to release all the emotion.
Detour.
So it's a detour. Okay? I want the healing to happen, at a certain point. It's like walking into your car or walking out to your parking lot, and you go see your car. Somebody dented your car. Okay. When your car fixed, who had it or why it happened is gone. Like, okay, let's just take care of what we need to take care of. And then there's a part of that is at a physical layer, when you're really aware of the emotional stuff that might be a tension. You can also be aware of really what you feel in your body all the time, what your body's informing you of. And if you really relax your emotional body, your physical body can let that go too. Okay, and as you really practice relaxing your physical body, emotional body can let that go. And some of that may just be time and attention, and it happens in maybe a big way of emotional release and memory, or maybe just slow and subtle over time. It's almost like the change is happening, but you aren't aware of it day to day as you become more relaxed and more present, or it's meditation. It's, to be really present with what we feel. Part of that will change as you practice kind of exercises in developing consciousness, and you're just more present with everything. And that calm presence moves through your body. And everybody's process will vary. But those are some of the layers to backtrack through. Now, you're in the kitchen, somebody comes up behind you and gives you a hug from behind you, because it's triggering a memory of being attacked or some physical harm. It's happening, you're reacting to in a very, your reaction is very understandable. It doesn't make sense at a surface level. If you say, oh, the sun's rising, its appearance, it looks like the sun's rising, that doesn't make any sense. But if you say, okay, no, we're spinning towards, we're looking at what's really going on, like, yeah, totally, you're going to have a fear response. Anxiety, panic, those kinds of things. Because the physical body has a memory. The physical body, the emotional body, and the mind have a pattern. They are on the lookout for patterns all the time. This being grabbed fits a pattern. The mind goes incredibly fast to, it fits this pattern that's going to be painful and traumatic. Okay? We've been on the lookout for it for years. Okay? We know we know in the story what's going to happen next. We jump to that. We're afraid of that happening. And that's for panic, anxiety attack. Your nervous system is a very intelligent being. Okay? And your mind is very quick to perceive patterns and associations and goes, oh, I recognize this. It looks like this other thing. That's a great survival instinct to have that's allowed us, to function and stay alive as a species for any animal. Okay? Now, when it's making an association, oh, it looks like this, but it's not really that. It's misinterpreting the signal. Okay? It looks like irrational, but it's really a close association. It's just not accurate. It's close. It's something the mind has associated. Oh, it looks like that. It's not that, but it looks like that. So Soldiers in combat, bullets are firing, it's gunshot, it's loud bangs. Okay, that's adrenaline, that's fight or flight. That's very scary. That's a lot of strong emotion. The adrenaline response is back, fight or flight kicks in. Okay? And this survival instinct to kill or be killed just dominates everything of the attention and complete focus. Okay? It comes out like aggression and attack anything that moves. Kind of attitude. So now he's home from the battle and he's walking down the street, okay? And a car goes by and it backfires. Okay, and the car is a four-door Chevy. Okay, a blue four-door Chevy, and he's like, ah! And it takes off. Same sound, blue four-door Chevy. Engages that whole adrenaline system, the physiology, the emotion, physical body follows. There he goes. Totally rational, understandable associations. Now, okay, go on and it's a loud noise later in the day. His system's already up to here. It's a loud noise later in the day, but it's something else. Now he's responding to something else. Later on, a few days later, or whatever amount of time later, blue four-door Chevy drives by. Wah! The mind is now associated fight or flight to this trigger. Okay? Or a blue Toyota drives by now. Okay? And then it's a Toyota car drives by down the road. And the mind is relearning and adapting to different things to trigger to that. That first one said, this is danger. But now a Toyota or any car is a trigger. Looks completely irrational, but this is mind. This is a mind adapting for survival. Okay? But it needs to be retrained. It needs to be retrained. And that's a discipline process. It's a similar thing. And it starts with recognizing that emotional, physiological, mental, physical response is happening perfectly. It is the perfect response to the associations in those triggers. And so I look at it the way, so there's no judgment about it. This person isn't doing anything wrong, they're not doing anything bad. It's just kind of they have the signaling system of interpreting what is real danger versus what's not real danger being interpreted a little incorrectly. Enough. Okay? But that is the correct survival response. That system, there's nothing wrong with their body, there's nothing wrong with their mind, except for the part where it's misinterpreting what those sounds mean. Okay? And that's subtle. Because once you hear that sound, the rest of it happens automatically and very powerfully. Okay? And a lot of times, the bigger problem in those cases is the judgment they have, oh, something's wrong with me, I shouldn't feel this way. There's a lot of judgment about how they feel, how they react, how they're behaving. Okay? Or fear of that response, or something's wrong with their body, something's wrong with their emotions. No, all of that is working perfectly. It's that the association of what the sound means or the trigger means and things like that where things get started.